why men really need to pay attention to this whole inner child healing development journey. So last week I've been through yet another inner child healing session with a shaman, with an energy healer, and it always reveals a lot of new insight, new awareness for me personally, but also of course where we are at in the world today. Now, when you look to, let's say, the mental health or the crisis within masculinity, it is very safe to say that we live right now in the emotional dark ages. There's like a dark cloud covered around the world that is keeping us further and deeper into an abyss of not knowing. And what I want to dive further into is really kind of like what to expect from, let's say, going into an inner child healing journey. First of all, I think it's important to understand that there should be no expectations, because once there are expectations, that can lead towards disappointment. So it's really more about what it is that we could feel. Now, why is this now more important than ever? Because let's face it, especially men, we have been on the battlefields for hundreds, not even thousands of years, which we have carried along within the conscious and the collective conscious, and that also has been passed over through generation to generation to generation. Lots of trauma has been stored within collective conscious and in our own subconscious mind. But now, of course, we are living in an age where we are fighting different kind of battles. The battles of the mind and the human soul and spirit. So what exactly are these battles? The way you currently see yourself, your self-image, your self-concept, is nothing but a lie. It's a belief. And in the word belief holds the word lie. And these lies or beliefs has basically been passed over from your upbringers, both your first generation parents, both your mother, your father, and of course their parents, your grandfathers, and of course your great-great-grandfathers, grandmothers, and whatnot. Now, if I look to my own personal family line, I mean, I come here from the southwest of the Netherlands, province of Zeeland, which literally means land in the sea. It's a region with smaller islands, and of course it's a region where we had nothing more than fishermen, merchant traders, sailors, and all of that, you know. So even within my own family line, there was like a lineage of fishermen. Strong men, always out on the water, fighting the elements. But within that line, of course, there were also lots of aggression and violence and alcoholism and addictions and narcissistic traits that has been passed over to generation through emotional abuse, physical abuse, through aggression and violence, but also lots of emotional neglect. Now, this has been passed over to the generation, to my father, and that also has been, you know, being played out throughout my own childhood. So what the modern day men, but also women, are currently facing, it's more within the masculine, is of course a massive void that exists within us. A blind spot, an emptiness, an abyss that cannot really seems to be filled up no matter what we do. Then of course lots of us, our human soul and spirit, feels highly disassociated from the current life we are living. So one part what we can do is we distract ourselves through all the different vices of entertainment, or some of us who are on this path of, you know, figuring out our place in the world, of becoming more spiritual and whatnot, we can also go into spiritual bypassing, where we have maybe experienced lots of unsafety within our early life, early upbringing. And then through this unsafety, we feel like we are unworthy, we don't feel we belong here, We don't know exactly who we are, what our values are, what is our place here in this world, and we don't really feel grounded, integrated. We haven't really embodied our whole inner true authentic self yet. And then what we do, we go and figure, we want to get answers on what life is all about. And what we do is we go and open up the higher chakras, and we are, I can speak from personal experience, we are up in the clouds with the fairies, and we are completely into a spiritual bypass where we are neglecting kind of like the whole energy and embodiments of, let's say, of divine masculine energy, of really stepping into the archetype of the warrior and the king. Because once we can build that, then we can move further into the energy of the lover and the magician. So, speaking about the warrior archetype, like what I said before, we live in a time of the emotional dark ages, of not knowing exactly who we are, where we came from, and all of that. And what we see is that there is so incredible amounts of entitlements within the generations that we see right now, is we get sold that everything can be accessed through with the push of a button, and where we don't really want to put any kind of energy, commitment, dedication to anything, and where we expect everything for no reason. And that could be like one result of those who have been highly abused, neglected, or whatever, and then they are walking around in adult bodies with an inner child of lots of emotional traumatic experiences, of having lots of this neglect they have experienced, and now of course they expect that everyone is like treating them like they are on some kind of pedestal or whatever. But for us as men, I think what is more important to realize is that this void that we experience, this loneliness, this isolation, this kind of like depressive state of being, where we completely are walking away from life itself, we walk away from having a purpose, having relationship, and we don't see relationships are worth it anymore. We walk away from careers, jobs, and all of that, because we think it's absolutely, life is completely pointless. Or we see like, you know, we just go and endeavor ourselves in worldly things and going after material success and material financial freedom, and go into this hookup culture, because that's really what we think, like this is the only thing Aninism has to bring, and nothing else really doesn't really seems to matter. But I think right now what is most important to realize is that for those who experience this void of loneliness, isolation, is that that void is of course coming from early childhood trauma, where we have of course been neglected and abused, and we have never been seen. Because if you look to our basic needs for survival, it is of getting seen, it's getting appreciated, it's getting valued, it's getting loved, and all of that. And if that never really happened in a healthy way, like we have been completely neglected, or the other side, we have these overly protected, caring, nurturing parents who say, oh, you are a princess, you deserve princess treatment, you can be and have anything you want, you don't have to do anything, we will give it to you, and you don't really have to figure out anything yourself out in life. Of course, this is also highly harmful for healthy self-esteem development. So it is both through the neglect and the overly protected that is of course like a little bit narcissistic and abusive and highly neglected in becoming and developing your power centers, developing the sense of self-esteem, self-worth, worthiness and personal empowerment, but also developing the sacral chakra energy center of emotional stability, emotional intellect, And of course the earth chakra of feeling grounded, having a sense of belonging and knowing your place here in this world. So what we have is we have all these projections from our upbringers, which they also got from their parents and upbringers, which, you know, has also been coming in through their generations, now has been projected on us, and our whole self identity is basically formed out of that. And as an adult, we have an inner child that we don't really have any kind of connection with. We don't have a deeper connection with our true authentic self. We are just living behind these walls of facades we have developed, call it the sense of the false self, the ego that is disconnected from the true divine essence that lives within us. And now we have all these concepts that were projected on us that made us highly disconnected from our essence. So diving deeper within to reconnect with that essence of our true authentic self through various spiritual practices, let it be inner child healing, soul retrieval, ancestral healing, I think is all highly related and connected with each other. We can reconnect with the times where we experienced the neglect or the abuse of whatever, creates a higher level of awareness, understanding towards it, and through that we can bring empathy and compassion to that, and through that there will be a higher level of acceptance to what we have experienced, because that's really how we can transform that. Now after that there will be like a piece of our soul that will be, of our self-image maybe as well, that will be falling off like another layer of the onion that has been peeled off. Now there will be like another moment when we feel like, no, I don't really know what I want and what I want to do, and I feel empty and all of that, which is normal, which is natural. Maybe we want to distract ourselves a little bit because we were so used of not feeling our own feelings and thinking our own thoughts, or getting into this awareness of do I really feel what I want and do I really want what I feel. Then what that is falling off, then we create more space within us to really reconnect once again with our true inner self, with our true authentic self. Now we can do this inner child healing from looking from our direct ancestral lineage, but this could go back through so many generations, and perhaps also through parallel realities. We can also look towards other ancestral influences we had, maybe from the land we live on, from our collective consciousness, through the histories of what happens, through different cultures that we are part of. So this is lots of inner work when we are breaking the spell that has been passed over from generation to generation to generation, to break free from these dark ages we are living in. And that's the true battle we must go on to as a spiritual warrior, to reconnect with our primary purpose in life, which is the path of the spiritual warrior, of facing all our shadows, because through that we go into this state of initiation. Because within the shadow, when we face our shadow of the unconscious, through that we can find our own light through this initiation pathway, through the rite of passage. Okay, so that's the real work that we are doing. And then how more we connect with this true authentic self, then we can more and more connect with our secondary purpose in life. And that is of course like, what is it that we are here to bring to the world? What is our true gift that we are here to bring? And then life doesn't feel like a survival where we must build up these fake identities and facades and all of that. But what we are doing is coming in as a channel from the divine, and we are doing God's work basically. So that's really what I wanted to share in this video. Once again, I've been through lots of different personal experiences as well, when I have also experienced things from my own past that when I also went into, like, when I was not being seen or I felt neglected, I got into a very highly defensive state, in a very rebellious state, or eventually it also led to lots of anger and aggression and violence because I wanted to be seen. And that's kind of really what we see in today's world as well, when young boys were never being seen and valued and appreciated or respected, and when that whole part has been neglected, then they are screaming for attention through violence. And that's of course also what we are seeing in today's world, that there is aggression and violence because the young boy never felt seen, respected, and the young boy exists within us, even when we are grown men in a grown-up body. But how more we grow older, how also we can more lose touch with that inner child, and we lose touch with our inner joy and drive and purpose and passion and sense of wanting to be of service, and when we can experience more satisfaction and fulfillment within our life as well. So that's another very important reason why we must stay committed and dedicated towards this path. So that's why I've got this channel where we dive into more of these spiritual ideas, concepts from our ancestors, from our North European ancestors as well, through the shamanic practices that this land has known and of course has spread around the world as well. But throughout different cultures around the world, we had similar practices. So even when you live in South America, North America, or other parts of around the world, the shamanic impulses were maybe a little bit different. But yeah, that's really what we are doing right now. So if this has your interest, your curiosity, you know what you got to do. Subscribe, hit the bell notification, leave your thoughts, and of course feel free to share. All right, see you in the next video. Take care for now.